Now, Adam Silver has caused quite a stir in WNBA world because he just went on the Today Show and he was talking about the WNBA CBA, and here's what he had to say. He said, "I think share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA."
The WNBA just imploded. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and NBA chief Adam Silver are now going head-to-head behind closed doors. Players are furious, team owners are sweating bullets, and everything might come down to Caitlin Clark. Here's the brutal reality check. The same superstar who rescued this league could be the catalyst that destroys it completely. So what happens when the power structure collapses?
Increase in this cycle of collective bargaining, and they deserve it. So what he's talking about here is the revenue share that the players have been fighting for. So essentially what the players have said in these negotiations is that they want to be paid more when it comes to their salary, but they also want a higher percentage of the revenue split, because currently they are only getting 9% of that revenue split. But we have went over it a million times, you guys. The structure of the WNBA, the finances in the WNBA, and the structure of the finances in the NBA.
This war between Kathy Engelbert and Adam Silver has been brewing for months, but now it's exploded into public view. What lit the fuse? Caitlin Clark. That's right, the phenom who packs stadiums, skyrocketed TV ratings, and made the WNBA relevant again, has accidentally triggered a complete meltdown between league executives and the Players Association. Let me break down what's really happening here. The WNBA is deep in collective bargaining talks right now. That's where everyone fights over the money, salaries, bonuses, and the big one, revenue splits. Basically, who gets what slice of the profits. Adam Silver went on the Today Show and dropped a bombshell that left everyone speechless. He said players shouldn't expect the same revenue percentage as NBA stars because the money pools are completely different. Sure, WNBA players will see bigger paychecks this round. They've earned it.
WNBA, as you know, they're calling for, players in the WNBA are calling for more money. They 9%, I believe, accordingly. They get 9% of total revenue compared to roughly 50% of the revenue of NBA players. Should they be getting a larger share of the revenue in the WNBA?
Yes. I mean, I think share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA. I think you should look at it in absolute numbers in terms of what they're making, and they are going to get a big increase in this cycle of collective bargaining, and they deserve it.
But don't expect equal treatment at the negotiating table. And that's when Kathy Engelbert's world started falling apart. The moment Silver made those comments, the WNBPA completely lost their minds. They clapped back with a sarcastic Instagram post directly targeting Adam Silver. The official Players Union account, not some random fan page, went full savage mode online. What happened next made everything 10 times messier. League officials fired back, calling the union's response completely misleading. They claimed the WNBA had already put forward an unlimited revenue sharing proposal tied to actual growth metrics. Translation: we already offered you a fair deal, you just chose to ignore it. Now Kathy Engelbert's trapped between furious players and her own boss, Adam Silver, who literally controls the purse strings. Here's what nobody wants to admit publicly. The WNBA doesn't even control its own destiny. The league owns just 42% of itself. The NBA controls another 40%. The remaining 18% belongs to outside investors who jumped in back in 2022 when the league was basically bankrupt.
What the solution is. Now, in true WNBPA fashion, they decided to clap back on their Instagram account to Adam Silver's remarks. And they posted this. They said, "Don't want to share at Adam Silver." So they literally tagged Adam Silver, used a screenshot from this interview, and posted this in their Instagram story. You guys, I do not know what they think doing that will accomplish. You know how there's that meme where it's like 0 days of whatever? It's like 0 days of
absolutely wild, but also completely entertaining.
Was like, we call BS and we see you. It's like, I don't understand what posting this does besides stir up more drama. People are like, ooh, look at them. Look, it's like, no, we're acting like children. Should be acting like a professional organization. You have to work out these things at the negotiating table, not on social media. Like, this is so childish to me. And when I saw this, it just reminded me of how draining it is sometimes to cover this league, because it's like
even if Engelbert wanted to match NBA revenue splits, she physically can't. The league lacks the authority to make that call. Now players want to go to war with Adam Silver, the one person keeping their paychecks flowing. This explains why every owner, investor, and major sponsor is quietly freaking out right now. If players refuse to compete without a new contract, we're staring at something unprecedented in WNBA history, a complete work stoppage. The timing makes it even more terrifying. Contract negotiations end on Halloween, and trust me, it's going to be absolutely horrifying for everyone involved. Players are demanding fairness. They're convinced they're massively undervalued and want bigger revenue percentages, not just salary bumps. On the surface, that sounds reasonable. Here's the reality bomb, though. The WNBA has never turned a profit, not even with Caitlin Clark selling out arenas, breaking rating records, and moving merchandise like crazy. Let's put this in perspective. You're hemorrhaging money every single year, and your workforce is demanding a bigger piece of those losses. That's essentially Adam Silver's argument, just wrapped in corporate speak. Cathy Engelbert is desperately trying not to say this publicly because she knows the internet would absolutely destroy her. But players don't care about spreadsheets and financial reports. They're pointing directly at Caitlin Clark saying, look at these crowds, check these ratings, see these jersey sales. We're finally mainstream. We deserve serious money. Here's the uncomfortable truth. They're absolutely right. Without Caitlin Clark, none of these conversations would be happening. She's the reason owners have any leverage for new media contracts. She brought in fresh sponsors. She doubled attendance figures. She boosted ratings by 400%. Every Senri argument players are making for higher salaries traces back to Caitlin Clark's massive impact. That's what makes this situation both hilarious and heartbreaking. Adam Silver is basically telling Cathy Engelbert, congratulations, your players want raises because your superstar worked too well. The league became completely addicted to the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. Now they're paying the price. When she got injured earlier this season, everything crashed immediately. Ratings plummeted, talk shows stopped covering the league. ESPN's WNBA programming bombed so badly they canceled new shows after just weeks. That injury was a brutal wake-up call for ownership. Remove Caitlin Clark from the equation and the hype vanishes overnight. Adam Silver definitely noticed. He's probably thinking exactly, this is why we can't do 50-50 revenue sharing. Take away one player and your numbers collapse completely. Meanwhile, players are arguing, no, this league is succeeding because of all our collective talent. Adam Silver's quietly thinking, really, because we saw what happened without her. This puts Cathy Engelbert between two explosive situations. Player expectations versus Adam Silver's harsh reality. Every public statement now feels like pure damage control. The union claims the league is stalling negotiations. The league says players are misrepresenting contract offers. Fans are choosing sides. Sponsors are nervously watching, wondering if they should renew next year's deal. The whole mess feels like a primetime soap opera, except with fewer game highlights and more boardroom battles. Throughout all this drama, Caitlin Clark's name keeps surfacing like a ghost. Whether she wants it or not, she's become the centerpiece of every argument, the proof of success, the justification for higher pay, the leverage in every single negotiation. Even retired WNBA legends like Rebecca Lobo are acknowledging it. In previous years, there was always real risk the NBA could shut everything down and say this cost too much. But now these franchises have real value. These athletes have real worth. Translation: the only reason anything has worth now comes from one player's popularity explosion. You can feel the panic underneath those words. Everyone understands the truth. Nobody wants to say it directly. The league's survival depends on Caitlin Clark, and that's absolutely terrifying for any commissioner. Adam Silver knows this. Cathy Engelbert knows this. Players know this. Now they're all fighting over who gets credit for her success and who gets paid because of it. The most ridiculous part, even with all this drama, the WNBA still loses money every season. They've quadrupled their media contracts to roughly $260 million, but that's pocket change compared to the NBA's billion. The WNBA's 9% revenue share sounds terrible, but when there's no actual profit to split, it becomes almost meaningless. Try explaining that to the players' union though. They're demanding complete financial transparency, accusing the league of hiding real profit numbers, like there's some secret treasure vault in a Manhattan office building. One player actually said the NBA's exploiting us to generate revenue. Reality check. They're funding your entire existence. That's the problem Kathy Engelbert can't voice publicly. The NBA has been subsidizing the WNBA for almost 30 years. If Adam Silver ever said we're finished, the league would fold by next summer. Yet here we are, players threatening to boycott while the commissioner's office quietly panics about what happens if they actually follow through. The league's entire empowerment brand is at stake. The same narrative they've been promoting that women's basketball is finally thriving could completely backfire if the 2025 season gets canceled. Guess who gets blamed for that? Caitlin Clark. Not because she did anything wrong, but because her success exposed how unstable the league's foundation really was. She raised expectations so dramatically that now even ownership can't keep pace. So yeah, WNBA executives are in complete panic mode. Kathy Engelbert's trying to stay diplomatic. Adam Silver's attempting to sound reasonable. Players are posting petty social media content. Caitlin Clark's probably somewhere in Iowa working on her shooting form, completely unaware she accidentally started a war between billionaires and union representatives. The chaos isn't settling down, it's intensifying. Every day brings new reports about tension between Kathy Engelbert and Adam Silver. At this point, it's less professional disagreement and more corporate power struggle. What began as casual comments from Adam Silver about finances has exploded into a complete organizational meltdown. Here's the brutal reality: both Engelbert and Silver are correct, and both are wrong. Adam Silver understands this league survives purely on NBA support. He knows the WNBA hasn't generated consistent profits since launch day. Without NBA funding and ownership backing, there would be no league at all. So when players demand 50% revenue splits like NBA stars, he's not being heartless or dismissive. He's being brutally realistic. You can't split 50% of revenue when the league operates on borrowed money. But Kathy Engelbert faces a completely different challenge. She's the public face who has to smile during press conferences, while players accuse management of corporate greed. She can't admit what Adam Silver can, that the business side is barely surviving financially, because admitting that makes sponsors flee, fans lose confidence, and the entire growth story collapses. Now throw Caitlin Clark into this volatile mix and everything explodes exponentially. Her meteoric rise gave players confidence they'd never experienced before. Suddenly, the metrics looked incredible. Attendance, viewership, merchandise sales, all absolutely skyrocketing. Players started saying, "See, we're expanding. We deserve significantly more compensation." But here's what they refuse to acknowledge. It's not we, it's her specifically. Caitlin Clark transformed the game, not the underlying system. The system remains fundamentally broken. One superstar can't repair decades of mismanagement and financial losses. Try explaining that to a room full of stars who view her success as proof they should all be millionaires. When Caitlin got injured, the illusion shattered immediately. Ratings dropped, media coverage disappeared. Casual fans who were finally paying attention stopped watching completely. Ownership saw exactly what reality looks like without her, and it was absolutely devastating. That's when front office panic hit hard. Adam Silver's now using that decline as negotiating proof. He's telling Kathy, "See, it's not league growth that's happening. It's one individual player driving everything." He's essentially warning her, don't promise more money when the entire business model depends on one person's popularity. Meanwhile, Engelbert's trying to keep players satisfied even as they're publicly questioning her leadership ability. The WNBPA is posting social media shade instead of working through private negotiations, and it's completely embarrassing. They're sharing memes and sarcastic captions like teenagers, not professionals handling multi-million-dollar contract talks. Here's the ultimate irony. Both sides are weaponizing Caitlin's reputation like a bargaining chip. Adam Silver points to her individual success to justify why revenue sharing shouldn't increase, arguing she's responsible for the boom, not structural improvement. Players use identical examples to demand higher compensation, claiming she represents their collective market value. Poor Caitlyn staying completely silent. She's probably in the gym perfecting her jump shot while her name gets thrown around corporate boardrooms she never asked to enter. The league's complete identity crisis now revolves entirely around her impact. Adam Silver doesn't want another NBA-style lockout controversy on his resume, especially over a league that barely breaks even financially. He wants quiet resolution, modest salary increases, positive headlines about growth. Everyone moves forward peacefully. Cathy Engelbert desperately wants to prove she can operate this league independently, but when players start publicly challenging her and questioning her leadership, it makes her appear powerless. This conflict has escalated from business disagreement to personal warfare. Adam Silver is exhausted by WNBA internal drama constantly spilling into mainstream press. Engelbert's tired of feeling like a corporate puppet. Players are tired of hearing "we'll address it next season" excuses. The ugly truth remains simple. Without Caitlin Clark, this entire argument wouldn't exist. She's simultaneously the reason players feel confident enough to demand more compensation, and the reason ownership is too terrified to provide it. You can sense the nervous energy in every press release now. The smiles look completely forced. The quotes sound purely defensive. Everyone understands the league is walking an extremely thin line. If negotiations fail soon, a lockout becomes almost inevitable. The deadline hits Halloween, and for the WNBA, that might be the most symbolically appropriate date possible, because if they destroy this opportunity, it'll become everyone's worst nightmare. Players will boycott, fans will abandon the sport, television networks will quietly cancel coverage contracts. When that happens, all those inspiring headlines about women's sports finally breaking through will age like spoiled milk. The WNBA's fighting over financial numbers, but the real issue is power. Who controls it, who demands it, and who can actually maintain it? Both Cathy Engelbert and Adam Silver are running out of time, and Caitlin Clark's unprecedented success just cranked up the pressure even higher. What's your take on this situation? Will this leadership battle rescue the league or completely sink it? Smash that like button and subscribe for more updates, because now other players and analysts are starting to speak publicly about this. They're revealing this wasn't the first time coaching staff manipulated injury timelines for public relations purposes. Stephanie's about to become the perfect example of terrible management decisions. The regret doesn't even begin to describe it. This is career-destroying level regret. You can already watch the Fever organization trying to clean up their disaster, deleting old social media posts, editing previous quotes, pretending none of this ever happened. But seriously, the internet is permanent memory. Caitlin Clark is completely healthy now. Medical professionals confirm she's cleared and ready for full competition. But this entire controversy proved something crucial. Some coaches prioritize public perception over honest communication. Stephanie White just learned that lesson the most painful way possible. The aftermath from this whole situation has been absolutely insane. You'd expect after getting completely exposed by actual medical doctors, Stephanie White would apologize, own the mistake, and move forward. Instead, she's doubling down like nothing ever happened. She's beaming during press conferences, dropping those same day-to-day timeline responses like a malfunctioning robot. The audacity required to maintain such delusion on camera is almost impressive. Now fans are absolutely destroying her. The Fever's social media comments look like a complete battlefield. Every single post, regardless of content, "Congratulations to our rookies," "Happy birthday team manager," gets flooded with 50 people typing "Stop lying" about Caitlin underneath. That's what happens when you insult your audience's intelligence. You can't call supporters family one day, then feed them fabricated injury reports the next. People actually care. They watch every single game. They follow every press conference religiously. When you lie to them, they absolutely notice everything. The best part, those doctors who originally broke this story aren't backing down whatsoever. They've been giving interviews explaining exactly why the Fever's version of events made zero medical sense. One specifically said, "It's highly improbable a professional athlete with multiple groin strain injuries could return to complete mobility in under 2 weeks. Translation: Stephanie White, you're completely full of nonsense. The timing of everything makes her appear even more dishonest. Remember when she claimed Caitlyn was almost ready right before that crucial road trip? Turns out that was the exact same week the team quietly scheduled additional medical evaluations behind the scenes, which basically confirms they knew she wasn't remotely close to being ready. So they didn't just lie, they strategically planned around the deception. That's advanced level manipulation tactics. Even players from competing teams are subtly calling it out without mentioning names directly. One athlete posted saying, "Protect your body first. They'll smile to your face and sabotage your career behind closed doors." Everyone immediately understood that reference. It's not just players either. Sports media is finally waking up to this pattern. Reporters who previously supported Stephanie are now starting to question everything. One article headline literally read, "Fever coaching staff faces major credibility crisis." Yeah, credibility crisis is journalist code for "we caught you lying repeatedly." But let's examine the core motivation here. Why lie initially? Because the team was completely desperate. The Fever season was hanging by the thinnest thread imaginable. Instead of being transparent with supporters, they chose to manufacture fake optimism. The classic "she's totally fine, just being extra cautious" routine. The problem occurs when you repeat that same line for 3 straight months. People start connecting obvious dots. Fans realized something was seriously wrong. Caitlyn's body language revealed everything. She wasn't injured anymore. She was frustrated beyond belief. She wanted to compete, and they were actively preventing her. If that's accurate, that's not just poor leadership decisions. That's intentional sabotage of your own player. There's this video clip circulating from a post-game interview where Stephanie said, "We're being extremely cautious with Caitlyn's recovery." Meanwhile, she'd already been medically cleared by her personal physicians to begin full scrimmaging weeks earlier. You can literally watch the assistant coach's facial expression when she makes that statement. Even he didn't believe what was coming out of her mouth. Now that all the evidence is public, everything about her previous interviews looks completely suspicious. The forced smiles, the vague medical terminology, the constant "she's feeling great" responses, all of it appears like real-time damage control while cameras were rolling. Fans are being absolutely ruthless about it. One tweeted Stephanie White treating Caitlyn Clark's injury like a Netflix season finale cliffhanger. Another wrote, "Can someone please tell the Fever, this isn't classified government information, we can handle basic truth." That's social media for you. Everything becomes comedy material, but there's always genuine criticism behind the jokes. At this point, Stephanie White's smartest strategy might be complete silence for several months, because every time she speaks publicly, the situation gets exponentially worse. The internet's calling it the Caitlyn Clark cover-up conspiracy. The memes are spreading everywhere. While it's entertaining to watch unfold, it's also genuinely sad because this entire controversy could have been completely avoided if honesty had been the default approach from day one. So yeah, instant regret definitely struck hard, but the reputational damage is already permanent. Stephanie White wanted complete control over the narrative. Now she's lost all credibility entirely. The medical professionals spoke truth. The fans saw through every lie, and reality is finally exposed. Caitlyn's perfectly healthy, but that coaching reputation is absolutely finished. What's your opinion? Should the Fever face serious consequences for this deception, or just fire her immediately? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe for more breaking updates.